dance cause they're free. Happy sing for eternity. Without God and His Son, Jesus, everything is peaceful.
Praise God. I know. I think we're just all excited about being. Let's clap some more. We are all crammed in here, and it's beautiful. And to all the people that are in the back and around the world, we just want to say hello, season 15 and episode something.
7.
Okay, awesome. So please join Candace and I in welcoming Michelle Gallardo and Laura McLean.
You can be free, you can overcome, you can overcome. Up in heaven, angels dance cause they're free. Happy sing for eternity. Without God and His Son, Jesus, everything is peaceful and lightness.
I never get tired of that song. Do y'all? I just love that song. You can overcome.
It's awesome.
It's such a inspiring song. And obviously, when you watch one person after another overcome, it's what we all need. And we all have times that we get stuck. And so this past week, I was thinking about, what to do, what kind of a show to do, and also with the live with Gwen and Joe, that type of a mood going on of like people getting stuck at night, like they seem to be up 4 pounds, down 4 pounds, up 3 pounds, down 3 pounds. They're sick of the cycle of just like not breaking out, kind of a breaking moment where you just make a decision to go all the way. And so tonight is that type of inspiration. And so we're going to start with Michelle Gallardo's story. I love this child. I mean, we've known each other for so long. So we love each other so much. I mean, we just like, one of those feelings that we have between us. And so I just honestly just eat her up. That's one sweet lady. And I'm sure she's not gonna, but she has served people so much. I mean, she is a saint. I mean, they were in Colorado when I first met her, and they had started a place where they were, helping people with their nails and then helping people with the type of encouragement that they give, and then helping with beauty at the same time, or health needs or whatever, is amazing. So I'm not sure what all that you're doing, but all I know is that when someone's in your presence and you're helping them out, when they leave out of there, they are totally encouraged, and your family has always been that way. Just you walk into y'all's presence and you're more encouraged than you were before you came in. So truly selfless people. Love you, love you, love you.
We love you. I love you. I look up at you, and I'm just so grateful for what you've taught me. I will tell you, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't what you've taught. My name's Michelle Gallardo. I'm originally from Colorado, and we moved to Nashville in 2005. And we found Way Down back in 1996. My sister-in-law, Heather, and my mother, Pat Sanchez, took a class and immediately started putting the message into practice and the teachings, and it bore fruit. They lost weight. They were losing their weight. And my husband, David, and I, we were on the verge of divorce. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for what Gwen Shamblin has taught us for 30 years, I know we wouldn't be married. We wouldn't have our precious little girl. We moved here in 2005, like I said, and God allowed us to have a 4th child. Not expecting that at all, but that was answered prayer. Mom asked Gwen to pray that she would have granddaughters, and Mom was blessed with 2. So it's so sweet. My brother also has a baby girl and his 2 sons, and we all get to live here together. I would say that it took me a long time to finally break free of just the gimmicks and, trying to control. And, I think I lost, the highest weight loss was 90 pounds, and I stayed there for the longest time. And until recently, it was shortly after Way Down Works came out. And Gwen, you did a message last March, and it was called The Sieve. And it's Gabriella's and one of our favorite ones. I mean, they're all powerful, but this one will rock your world. So if you have not listened to The Sieve lately, go look it up on All Access because it will change you. That message just totally hit my heart. And I had to look in the mirror and say, God, I'm so sorry that I've taken so long to realize that I hadn't gone all the way. I'd gotten so close. I was a 90%er, but not all the way. And so after that message, we got to go through the probably the most difficult test we've ever gone through in our lives. And I'm so grateful for what God showed me through that. And fast forward, Way Down Works came out. And it was chapter 18 that God opened my eyes and pierced my heart with again. And it's called, Why Does God Allow Suffering? And that chapter will change you, because I think you go through the test in life and you're not sure why you're going through this, and you don't question God's decisions, but you might say, but God, did it have to be this way? And that's when you get to go back and realize, you know what? It's God's decision. And yes, it has to be that way because He made us all. He blessed us with children, and He gets to do what He wants to do. And you accept that with so much humility, because what it does is it makes you cry out to Him more. I had a lot of nights of crying out to Him and going back in and checking my heart and making sure that I was denying myself. It is about self-denial. You do have to pull back from the food and the alcohol. Mm-hmm. Less is more. Mm-hmm. Not more is more. More is just more, yes, but when it's beyond what God wanted you to have, it's not blessed. And so therefore you find yourself, stuck. And that's not fun. My prayer life was kind of stagnant. I could see me just kind of staying complacent. And I didn't want it, I didn't like it, and I knew God wasn't pleased with me. So I kicked it off with a fast, and then jumped right back into hunger and fullness. And if anyone is out there and you're afraid to fast, trust me, it feels so good. Your mind is cleared, your heart is just happier, you're just not just lighter physically, but everything becomes clear, and you understand exactly where God wants you to be, what He intended for you, your purpose. And I know now that we were called to this. I understand it, and I just want to, stay in this where I'm at right now with God. Answered prayers, weight loss, favor, just. Finances healed, I can't even tell you. We were in debt, and God has set us free from that. And just very, very thankful. Very, very thankful.
Blessed in every way. And now
yes.
You said that you have a total of, you were always lingering in that 90-pound weight loss. Mm-hmm. And now it's like once you, from a year ago, March 18th, that sermon kicked it off, and you said now you're at 100 pounds.
I'm at 100 pounds.
100 pounds weight loss. Isn't that amazing? It is always the same. Everybody freaks out and goes, there's no way. You always have to say, let's go back and look at the before picture one more time. When you hear that, you got to go, okay, wait, show this again. 100 pounds. So, oh my goodness, you definitely look different.
Wow. Praise God.
Definitely look different, and that is amazing. I know it feels different.
It feels so. I'm just happier. I have more joy. I have so much peace when I didn't have peace.
No, it's what the world is looking for. They're totally looking for this, and it's that combination of handling suffering, handling and accepting your situation, and then getting in there and then focusing on what you need to do, and I'm gonna go back, remind me, I'm gonna go back and grab, talk about fasting, but let me segue at this point, because that's exactly the testimony of Laura and her accepting her situation. So let's hear your testimony, sweet thing.
I love you.
Oh, you're so beautiful.
I have so much love for you and for this place, because my life has been completely changed in every way, and it is a very compassionate God to allow me to have any kind of testimony. So I found Way Down in 2014, and I was 17 years old, really struggling. I had been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 6 years old, so I had it for a long time. And so really trying to control that, and the world will tell you that to have good blood sugars, you're gonna have to eat low carb, and you're not gonna be able to eat this, and you're not gonna be able to do that, and you have to eat at this time, and just rules. And I tried that and gained 30 pounds in a year and a half, so rapidly gaining weight, rapidly feeling more and more out of control, very miserable, and worried. And even in the dieting, I knew that there was something, I knew that this was not how it was supposed to be, and I knew that I was eating for my heart. And I saved up $150 of babysitting money to pay for a 45-minute emotional eating counseling session via Skype. So desperate to find something. And I found Way Down through a Google search for Christian weight loss, and I found the Way Down at Home videos on YouTube. And from that day, I knew that this was different and this was the truth. And I dropped, I never binged again after watching that video. I dropped all my over-exercising, all the rules, and then God gave that back so quickly that 3 months later in the doctor's office, I'd had the best blood sugars that I'd ever had in my life.
And you lost 30 pounds.
And I lost 30 pounds. That's been off for 4 years now.
Unbelievable. And diabetic. Isn't that
It's
beautiful?
God. And so with that, I feel like God, I was always very angry about why do I have diabetes? Why was that given to me? What did I ever do? You know, just that type of thing. And then going through Way Down, it's the same thing. Like you accept your situation, and I feel like God showed me that this is not a situation of self-pity. This is an opportunity to find God and an opportunity to pray as you're doing so as I'm testing my blood sugar, you're praying. As you're doing this, you're praying. And it drew me closer to God and fall in love with God through learning that. And so I just feel like totally perspective change on everything, and just totally full of love. I've never felt more joy or peace. Even my mom and dad were like, "You're the happiest that you've ever been." They saw that change, and that came directly from just putting
They saw the health
Way Down
change,
principles.
the weight,
Yes.
the joy, the happiness. Did you, you said something about revolution. Was that you saying something about a revolution class?
Yes. So I did struggle a little bit with scale focus and body focus in that, and it was discerning self-led. I know I think it's I always went to chapter 10, I think, of the tablet, which is about the body. And in it says, you need to be able to discern what is self-led denial and what is God-led denial. Because God, anything that God asked Jesus to deny himself, it was God-led. And that was a lead from God. And so I went back in there in the revolution class to discern what is God's voice, and then denying myself what God had asked, and then enjoying the amazing life and the blessings and all the fun that God is and his personality is. And so just learning that, and I feel like every day just seeing more of God's personality and how fun he is and everything.
And just people with diabetes, type 1 is the most severe. I mean, it's a genetic thing where, you know, you've not overeaten or anything. That's just literally your pancreas is not making enough insulin. Insulin is the gatekeeper. Basically, it's a little hormone that allows the food that you eat to go in. And like you say, they were blaming bread, and it wasn't the bread at all. And so now you're eating breads and starch, carbohydrates. I mean,
Anything.
or anything, but that's what you need. I mean, you're back to getting what you need instead of playing all these games and all these food rules. And now your blood sugars are back in order. And that's scary for me to stick my neck out there. You think about all the different rules and all the stuff that I came from getting a master's degree in, dietetics. It was an undergraduate degree, which was a 5-year program put into 4 years. So it was constant studying and going to the hospital, and so you had and then getting a master's degree, which was another. Well, it took me more than, it's supposed to be 2 years, but it took me longer than that before I finished. But years of that type of a mindset of being afraid of the foods. And so really stuck my neck out, being told I was going to get sued and people were going to die and all that kind of stuff. And, and then you go back and look at it, it's like, it's the life. Have you kept going that direction? All these people going through dieting, all they do is go down a path that is a dead end street. And then you get to the point where you go down it for so long, you get caught up in it. It's like a spider web where you don't know how to get out of being, of that problem of this up 4, down 4, food focus, all that kind of stuff, body focus, and that type thing. So, for God to give y'all both in different ways. I don't know what in the seed. What was in that? I don't remember. What I said in that.
It was one of your most powerful sermons. I mean, all of your sermons are powerful, but that's one that really sticks out. And you just said, you guys, you got to get back up.
Oh, is it God separating out good from evil?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, who? Well, now that I'm a big believer in, that God's separating out good from evil. And so what is good? What is evil? But I can tell you that the thing that comes to my mind that really is the breakthrough for everyone is in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. No one can serve 2 masters. I mean, I could keep reading, but let's just stop right there. No one can do it. I mean, it's an impossibility. And when you're serving yourself and your own comfort and your own whims and your own impulses, when your life is focused on yourself, you literally can never learn to be gracious. You're always judging others and having thoughts that you shouldn't, the lack of love, and then you're running, you're running people off. And so, so that it affects relationships, and then it affects, obviously, greed. Greed is birthed by your eyes turned inward and a self-focus. And so if you're serving yourself, and that's who you've chosen to serve, then go ahead. But you're not, I don't care what tricks you try, even inside reading all the materials that God has sent down, that he has sent through everyone warning you to lay down sin, all the prophets, all of the apostles, Jesus Christ, all the words from everyone that's called to turn people from sin. You're never going anywhere. You're going to be going in a cycle up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down for the rest of your living days, and then it'll finally turn back around and go up and up and up and up. You'll just ratcheting up and up and up and up, because the lure of serving yourself, you can't serve enough. You're fooling yourself thinking I can serve myself and then give God a percentage. But what happens is that you can't do it, and therefore it's like it's a game you're playing with yourself that you're actually getting somewhere. Then you look back and years later, you've not lost the weight, you are not more loving, you've not stopped over drinking. In fact, you're drinking more. You're not. Your health is not better. Your relationships are not better. Your spiritual walk is not better, and yet you want to believe it, and you want other people to believe it, because then you develop the praise of man, and then that adds to your sins, and so you hide your sins. And you don't want anybody to know. You think people don't know. You think you're fooling everybody, but they know. I mean, people can see it, they know. And so, when you have this pure-hearted experience of where you finally get to that point where you go, look, okay, I'm fooling myself, and God means business. There's a sieve here, and God's separating good from evil, and good is you're serving him, and bad is you're serving yourself and your own. And I really do understand why greed is idolatry. It makes all the sense in the world when you first read it, maybe perhaps not as a child, understanding Ephesians 5:5, that greed is idolatry, but greed is simply serving yourself, and serving yourself then is an idol. So that's simply what it is. And so, Laura, for you read it and saw this is idolatry. I'm gonna stop this. And I know it was scary because you've been told by every white coat that this was gonna be dangerous. But then you go in there and it was inside of you, and you were able to use that hunger. The hunger was telling you your sugar levels. You were able to give yourself some insulin, have a meal, and follow. In the meantime, losing 30 pounds. Talk about, all these people out there that are crying because what they have to do to lose the weight. But you try being a diabetic and losing it, and it's very difficult. And so I applaud it. And then you've kept it off for 4
years.
4 years. Yeah. And now you go in, get your blood sugar levels checked, and they're in check. They're in check. And so when you would have a higher, in the end, if you get diabetes early, then you're going to have hardening of the arteries, and so that's why there's trouble with diabetics with, amputations of toes and the peripheral. This is where the little capillaries get the hardest. And so, but if you don't have diabetes, then the sugar is, the blood's just, after you eat, it clears out all that sugar. The sugar is not bad. That's your food. That is your food. It's when it lingers all night and all day because you're diabetic, and it's just floating around and it never gets into a cell because of, or it lingers in there longer. So nothing wrong with a glass of wine, but when you're drinking all day, no different. Then you're gonna have a liver disease and the hardening of the liver. I mean, you just don't do that. You were made to get empty, to get all the way to hunger and then eat again. Get all the way to hunger and then eat again. You're not supposed to be eating all night long. It's a fast. You close it down, you get full, you close it down, you don't eat again until you're hungry. And that is good health. So we're just simply blaming the wrong thing. And why do we blame the wrong thing? It's so that we can continue to be our own master. But so was it hard for you, Michelle, to just like when you got in there and said, I can't do this?
It wasn't hard once I made the decision. And it's interesting, you talked about type 2 diabetes because that's what I deal with all day long. That's what my patients are. I work for Vanderbilt Orthopedics, and I'm a podiatric medical assistant, and I do nail care, and I see diabetic ulcers and lymphedema, and I mean, most of the population, as Gwen's taught us, is overweight, and most of these people are like our experience, the same ages, but if you look at our experience versus the patients that I have, it's a complete night and day, and it's very, it's real, like what she says. But what I realize is that sometimes I have to get down on the floor to work on them because they can't transfer. And I was having a hard time getting up and down. My knees were starting to hurt, and my feet were starting to hurt, and my back was starting to hurt. And once I made the decision, and the shows on fasting, Lisa Henry and Jane Dubois, that was a powerful show, and you can find it on All Access, and I encourage anybody to watch it. And that was very instrumental in helping me understand, don't be afraid, you can do it. You can cut back, you can deny yourself. You don't have to have, more than one glass of wine. You don't have to eat every time someone else is, and don't look at what they're eating. You just make sure, check your own heart. And so once I made the decision, it wasn't hard. And jumping right back into hunger and fullness, it isn't hard. Once you decide you can do it, I can do it, you can do it too. So.
Okay, so the point on fasting that I'm glad you brought it back up, is that when you are, here's a telltale sign that you are serving yourself and that you're in love with yourself over the love of God. And that would be that you find it very difficult to fast, and inside the fasting, you will find yourself very bored. And the reason why you're finding yourself bored is because your love is the food. So you have set aside so much time for food, and it was eating up your day. The anticipating it, the thought of it, where you're going to go, the cooking it or whatever. I mean, it fills up that day, when time you wake up, time you go to bed. And there are people that literally become really sick because they get up with this routine of thinking about the food all day long, and they get to the point where you can't serve two masters, because you'll either love the one and hate the other. No one can serve two masters. No, you can't serve them both. You can't serve yourself and then serve God. You can't do it. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. It gets to the point, it says, you cannot serve both God and money here. You cannot serve both God and yourself. You can't do it. You literally cannot, you can't, it's an impossibility, even though you're fooling yourself, but and so that sign of where you feel like, oh, what's gonna fill up my day? What am I gonna do? Because you will, and what do? You go back in and you serve God. We think, oh, well, that sounds boring, or that sounds bleak, or religion's always seems so dry. And you think about maybe monks in a monastery or whatever, but it's not. And that's what you both were saying, but you've got to experience, it's experiential. I can tell you about it, and I can talk to you about how, filling your time back up with doing things, calling someone, calling a saint, being spirit-led in what you do with your time, all of those things that God will guide you into, and then having your prayers answered, this relationship with God, and then being excited about his kingdom, excited about his work, excited about someone else finding it. That right there is then you find yourself being able to find great joy, because that's something that nothing can stop you. Nothing, no height or depth or whatever, nothing can stop you from being loved God. And so I know, Candace, you probably have something to add.
The only thing I was thinking of, if somebody's watching this on YouTube and it's 5 days past the show, or it's in a year from now, you're in 2021 and you just found this, but when she talks about Way Down Works, it's actually the name of a book. So just so you know, in case you need to put this in context, because I know sometimes it's years later, but this is what it looks like. There's classes and all sorts of things. I feel like I can't add anything because everything's been so beautiful, but I just want to make sure people know where to get help. If you're thinking oh, well, I'm diabetic, I'm type 1, how do I get started? And there's a lot of in the book, when you go to your doctor and how you start a class, and there's a little couple little special things for you that are a little bit different than someone that doesn't have diabetes. That's all in the book, or you can call the office. But you can totally get started, and you can literally get started. Like the Way Down at Home videos, they were on YouTube just for free. I mean, Gwen gives away she really gives everything away for free. The only things that you get charged would just be to keep the staff in the office going. But, and so anyway, so I just wanted to make sure it was in context if someone watched this from like in 2 years or something, but there's all sorts of resources out there. And I'll just back up that, I mean, someone was telling me yesterday, well, I'm gonna just eat one meal a day. I'm gonna do this. And I was like, do you want to be overweight? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna eat this. I'm just gonna eat carrots. And in my mind, I was like, they have no idea. They've just made themselves overweight. And I was like, so I was begging them, like, you have to try Way Down. You have to let go of control. You have to go to God, and it's a hunger and fullness, and let's just do a class. And I can tell you, and I always say this, but it's the only thing on the planet that works. It's the only thing that makes sense when you start doing it. It's the only thing. I mean, if there's something else out there, I have not seen it in my 20 years here on earth, but but I've been around. I feel like now I've been around for a while, and so you would have thought something might have popped out that might have worked too, but
There's been some copycats, but it's not
it doesn't
the whole
work
thing because they're
the copycats don't work because they would never say to you what Gwen just said to you, because they would be scared that you wouldn't buy their book. And so they would never have the guts to say to you what Gwen's saying to you is that there is a seed, that there is good and evil, that you can do it, you can take responsibility. They would never do it because they'd be terrified you wouldn't buy their stuff. But Gwen will always tell you the truth. And I think all of us sitting in this room know that that's a gift, and we're very thankful for it. The book will tell you the truth. The classes will tell you the truth. She counsels you one-on-one. She'll tell you the truth. If she's trained someone under her, they'll tell you the truth.
Candace never quits. I'm telling you, she's got such a heart for this to get out. And the reason why, I have not stopped is because it isn't about me. It is about God. And we're excited about one other person finding God. And then these stories keep you going. Because here after, knowing that at any one time, you can make this choice right now for a breakthrough. You can fast. You can pull away. You can deny yourself. And it is such an essential practice because this denial mixed with the acceptance of the suffering and then brings in this great joy. And you guys have found it, and it's so beautiful. And we're just so thankful for your health. And thank you for you and all. What testimonies you both have with all you've been through, the both of you. And I know you said that when you were young, you go, God, why me? Why do I have diabetes? Why do I have to be different? Why do I have that? And then she finally said, God allowed that suffering. Michelle said the same thing. God, why? And then you go back and you realize God knows exactly what each of us has to have so that we can be in heaven forever. And so you can do all of this. We're not special. This is nothing special more than you're special. We're all special in that God wants each and every person to find this. I know that. And He is out there waiting. He's waiting for all the prodigal sons to come home. So let's do it, everybody. Let's go home and serve God, not ourselves. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you.